This
Everybody,
conference will now be recorded.
just for
Okay,
clarity,
welcome
just
to
for-
everyone to the March exec meeting. Go ahead, Jesse.
So just very quickly on clarity's sake, so the meeting is being recorded, meaning the audio that we're going to be speaking and will be transcribed per executive order. That does not include the chat function. So just so people know the difference.
Okay, so Jesse, let's do a roll call first, just to make sure we can record for the audio who is here.
Of course. I'm just going to go down on our minutes page and we'll go that way. Yoni.
You have
Everybody
to
can
unmute yourself, Yoni.
Hello. Good evening, all.
Yeah. Okay. Christine, we know.
Yes.
Jessica. Dale
Okay.
Corvino.
Dale, you actually have to say something. It's being recorded.
I'm aware of that. I was just giving it a second, and everybody should go back on mute when they're not speaking, because otherwise you get some feedback.
Yes, thank you, Dale. That is correct. If you are not speaking, you should be on mute. Devlin, that means you.
Martin DeCat.
Just put it on mute. Put it on mute again.
Okay, so that's a yes. Frank.
It is a yes.
Hi there.
Inga.
Yes, here.
Lowell Kern.
Yep.
Bert Lazarin.
Bert, your mic's not working. It says he's unmuted, Jesse, but we can't hear him.
Yeah, that is true. He is unmuted. I don't know what to say. He is here though. So I don't know.
He's
Bert,
by the looks of the picture, he's off in the woods and no one around to help him.
But his mic was working before, I believe, because I thought I heard him. Unfortunately, all I can do is unmute him, so I will list him as here.
He's got to give his computer permission, Jesse.
That is true. Bert, you have to, when you sign in initially, it should ask you whether you give permission to the microphone. If you said yes, then that should have worked. My only concern is maybe the microphone is not functioning.
Log in again, that way it'll work.
Moving on, Jeffrey.
Here. Hi, everybody.
Betty. Betty, I know you're here. Okay, you have to say something. You have to go off mute.
Click the red microphone, Betty.
I can take care of it. Hold on. Where is she? There she is. Oh no, she muted herself, so I can't unmute her. I can send an unmute request. On the bottom of the screen, Betty, you'll see a little red microphone where your image is. There you go.
Oh, so I'm supposed to unmute it when I thought Jesse did that. Oh,
No, unfortunately,
anyway.
so that's a good point. So this system allows me to mute everybody and mute particular people, but if you put yourself on mute, I can't unmute you.
Okay.
Where are we? Sorry. Michael Noble.
You're up to the M's.
Yes, I'm here.
Jean Daniel.
Luddite.
He was on before, so I mean earlier when we had the prep call, the practice call. So I know he was going to call in, but he should be there. Maria Ortiz.
Hi. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Maria.
Hi.
Alan
Good to see
Oster.
everyone.
Good evening, folks.
There you go. Joe Restuccia. He's on his way, I know that. In addition, I know we have Dolores Rubin. Dolores? No. Okay, well, she was on. Okay, yeah, so that's it. We have quorum.
Okay, and
Joe's
looks like Janine,
Oh, there we go. Joe's
there's
here.
Joe. It looks like Janine is joining us.
Janine and Nellie should be joining us as well.
Hi, Janine. There's Nellie. Hi, Nellie. All right,
and
so,
Paul's here too.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Paul.
My first time.
This sheet was created before all of that.
Glad to be
right,
here,
so-
everybody. Thank you.
well, that's as good a place to start as any. Paul has taken over as co-chair of Chelsea Land Use with Betty and, trying to fill Lee's shoes, which can't be filled, but Paul's going to try.
No, can't be done.
All right, so is there anyone who is logged in that Jesse did not ask if you were here?
Yeah, I got texts from JD and Dolores. They're both on. And I
Okay,
believe we have some members of the public.
right, okay. MOTP, that would be a member of the public.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, got it. All right, welcome everyone. For the foreseeable future, this is now our conference room. We're going to start with using GoToMeeting. There are a lot of other boards that are using Zoom, but we're going to try this one first and see how it works. And as long as it's working, we'll stay with it. We are going to be doing tonight's meeting. We are going to basically be handling a lot of things that would normally have been handled at April exec. We are going to ratify the BLP letters. I think there are a couple of other letters that need to be ratified so we can actually get them out. We are going to ratify the February minutes, or is it the March minutes? Which minutes is it? It's February minute. The March minutes we're going to ratify. And all of those will later be ratified by the full board when we have a full board meeting again. If we are still doing this come early May, we will probably do full board via video chat. If not, hopefully we'll all be together again. Before we go on, is there anyone on the exec committee that is having any issues, food, water, heat, hot water, anything that we can look into to take care of, or any member of the public for that matter, if there are any issues with being quarantined or locked up that we need to address? All right, good, then we're doing okay. So that's what we're doing here tonight. It will be a regular exec meeting plus, exec plus, I guess is what we're calling it. Jesse, do you want to add anything to kick us off?
Yes, so Lola's right. So news is that the board president's office, we found out late Friday, has purchased each of the Manhattan boards, each of the Manhattan boards a Zoom account. So with the ability to do webinars, which is what sort of allows you to do sort of like large full board meetings. And so between the two, we had purchased this GoToMeetings on the suggestion from Do It, because that's what they use a lot, and Zoom. I think Zoom might be a little bit better for large public meetings like full board. So we'll have both, which will be nice. And so we'll go into that. I did do a tutorial a little bit earlier this morning for a bunch of people, and And so I can do that again for more folks as we get closer to running an actual committee meeting. And I just think we'll have to decide as as an exec committee tonight, how we want to go forward and how we wanted to manage using this technology and manage our meetings. There's a bunch of different ways that I've seen so far. CB2 has run a full board already. I can give you I've sat in on that, and I can sort of report on that if that's helpful. But everybody's sort of changing and moving as it goes. It's pretty fluid, so I don't think there's any one specific way we have to do this. I know. Hold on, I'm sorry, 1 second. JD's having some difficulty, so I'm going to work with him to get him and Dolores to make sure that they are they can be heard. Okay.
All right, so I will jump while Jesse's doing that. I can give you an update. I'll jump down to item number 4, which is community board office space. As of late this afternoon, the business terms between Brookfield and DCAS have been agreed to. They're still messing with the legal language on a license agreement for us to move to 33rd Street, but that is going to be accomplished hopefully shortly. There is an issue about whether or not we're supposed to move all our stuff. The DCAS had asked if we could store our stuff before we move in, because they wanted us out of the 42nd Street building at the end of March, because we run into a lease holdover situation on April 1st. And then other aspects of the administration said we're not storing their stuff for them. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen there. Jesse, I don't know if you had any calls after those emails.
No, I didn't get anything more. I'm going to reach out to them. I think it's just best to have a call with them. The last phone conversation we had with them, they were seemingly okay with us going to holdover where we are located. So I'd rather us not have to sort of do 2 moves again and move it to a storage unit just to then have to move out of it in like 2 weeks. So it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of effort on a lot of work on our staff to do that. Plus, mixed in there is the concerns about health concerns and about COVID-19. So I'm going to aim for us staying where we are and packing out. We'll have to make a decision and know once they've signed all the final paperwork and then move out from there.
But it does look like we're going to be into our new space before the end of April, which, for those of you who are not aware, is at 424 West 33rd Street on the 5th floor. It's the Brookfield Loft building behind One Manhattan Plaza. It's a little bit tight, but it is hopefully short-term space, meaning over the course of a year or two. There is additional space directly across the hall that is a much larger suite that is being used by Brookfield Construction right now. And as they move out of that, they're going to make that available to us. And that hopefully will be our permanent home. So the only move we'll have to make will be across the hall. Like I said, the business terms have been agreed to, so they're just waiting on the lawyers now. And God knows the lawyers will screw everything up, but we'll go from there. Jumping back up, Jesse, you want to do the April committee schedule and explain how we're doing it?
Sure. So I don't know if everybody's got a chance to see the April community schedule. One thing I'm realizing right now with this whole process, if you're calling in on the phone and I mute everybody, it's sort of, and you don't have an idea, it's hard for me to see who the committee members are when they just call in. But just so everybody who's on the phone understands, everybody is on mute, and then we'll take people off of mute to have the conversation. But to go into the April committee schedule. So like we said, we're going to do as of right now, all the dates are the same. The timing is the same. We're just going to be doing everything via video and phone conference. I think the question is there's certain committees obviously that have pending applications in front of them, such as BLP, and most likely CLUE, but the others don't necessarily have applications that have a deadline or a comment period that we would have to worry about. So how we want to run those meetings, I think we should have that conversation. But if everybody could take a look at the April agenda and see,
Gotcha, Jeffrey.
whether it makes sense to hold a meeting in this format with the agenda items that are currently in place. So far, I've talked to a bunch of folks who are already on the agenda, and they all, they're all sort of, treading waters as well, because they don't know what the status of a lot of moving parts right now. So I think if we wanted to postpone certain things, we probably could easily. But
Jesse?
yeah, I'm gonna unmute everybody because Lowell, if that's all right, just because the folks from the phone on the phone like JD and Dolores can't chime in on this unless I unmute
Okay.
all of them because they don't know who they are.
All right. Okay, but instead of everyone shouting out at once, if you could just let me identify people and then we can go from there. I saw Jeffrey had his hand up.
Yeah, but if you don't.
All right. So,
I'll get back to you, Christine.
Just wondering about the
Christine, you got to go on mute.
Everybody is on, not just me.
so the April 23rd WP meeting. Did that change because of Passover Easter scheduling?
Jesse, put everyone on mute, please.
we have to put, everybody's got to turn their speakers down. What's
Yeah,
happening is
Jeffrey, go ahead, Christine. I'll get back to you.
How about that?
That's better.
Yep.
The April 23rd WPE meeting, did that change because of Passover Easter scheduling conflicts?
Yes. So that whole week was removed because of Passover.
All right.
I don't know,
Chris,
with how everything is going on, I don't know what the reality of Passover is, in this setting is, but we're doing a viral one. I know our family is doing a viral.
May I make a suggestion?
yes, Christine.
So two things. First, why don't we raise our hands in the chat room so we can just say, hey, I want to speak, and everybody doesn't have to be turned on at the same time. And then
Because the people on the phone, Christine, the people on the phone don't have that chat function.
okay, all right.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get to the people on
That'll
the
work
phone
that'll work for everyone. That'll work for everyone who's online.
Okay.
If you see the chat function, you can see that Marty asked me about the address, and Christine and Paul are making the same suggestion. So if you want to say something, just type something in there and I'll get back to you.
Okay.
But
So
otherwise, yeah, go ahead, Christine.
my second question was, when we run meetings with this technology, how do we control, how do we give exactly what's happening right now? How do we give a turn to the public to speak?
So there's multiple options right now. I mean, so there's, unfortunately, this system does not allow you a master lock on mute. So, you can put everybody on mute, but if they want to take themselves off mute, they can. Their CB2 ran their full board meeting and they had people send in testimony beforehand and saying that that's how it has to be, if you want, that's the way it is. And literally, actually, the only people that are participating live in the meeting are the members of the committee or the full board. So they had their full board that way. And at the beginning, the first vice chair, similar to like what the public session is for when Jeffrey runs it, does the sort of summarizes and reads the testimony that had come in from that. So you could do that on a committee level. We can choose to do that on a committee level. There's a webinar extension onto this, which will allow you to have this sort of a virtual hands up component, which is sort of what someone was referring to, is like raising your hand or putting it into the chat. It literally, you have a little tag button and you can press, hands up so you can see the people coming in, and that's how you'll direct people on if they want to speak, and you can call on them individually. So those are a couple of the options. Yeah, I mean, the difficulty is what we're running into even right now, which is that some folks are going to be calling in and they don't have the ability to give themselves an ID as to who they are, and have the option to, to do the chat. So
Yeah, I think the other, Jesse, did CB2, I know it was out on YouTube, but were they live streaming on YouTube,
so
or
they
was that
have
taped on YouTube?
No, so they did a live stream on YouTube. That's what I was watching. So they had already previously been live streaming their full boards. They had hired someone to do that, who'd come to their full boards and set up a 3-camera package and do that. So then this person just simply was taking their video recording like in real time and live streaming it to YouTube.
Right, because what you can do on YouTube is you can have comments there, or even on Facebook Live, if we did it, the public could log in and type questions or comments there, and Jeffrey or someone could monitor that while we're in the meeting to see if there were actual questions. We could talk about that later. We can see if we can figure out that functionality. Yoni?
Oh, sorry.
I think Facebook Live might require people to have accounts and stuff, so I think other sort of free source thing where people don't need to register would be better.
Well, YouTube would be the first option if we can get there. Facebook Live may be easier to do, but we can look in. Jesse and I'll look into that. We can talk to the borough president's office and see what they recommend about that. We can I can check with Carter and see what he thought. Paul, did you want to say something, or were you just saying? Okay. All right. So let's move on with the agenda. Contract update. Jesse, that's you again.
Yeah, I think that, oh, sorry, yeah. I just wanted to give a quick, with the situation we have with COVID-19, what's going on with our contracts that we have outstanding. And so one of them has actually been completed. We've got the final product, relatively the final product, not all of the final services, but the final product, which is the change impact community needs statement. The final report was sent to us. In terms, they were planning to come to, I believe, April's housing committee, or May's housing committee, and then present to the then subsequently present to the full board. So I think we'll have to, I think that still would be a great thing to have and put on there, but I think we'll have to figure out how if we want to wait on that or do it through the virtual platform. The other two, housing conservation coordinators, special district tenant education, was really a lot of door knocking and going into buildings and flyering and all of those things. So HCC is really obviously stopped doing most of their outreach in that capacity and doing a much more phone banking and things like that. They're focusing on the census right now, so I'm pretty sure we're on hold at least for that. And we were going to hold a big community event as the final product of that. So I think we're sort of on hold for that. We could talk about maybe trying to do something on a platform level, but I don't know if we're going to really reach to the folks that we were looking to reach, in my opinion. I don't know if a lot of people would be. Yeah.
I spoke to Leslie today. They're entirely closed down.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, they're doing everything by phone, if anything. So I think we're on hold there. And then I actually haven't had a chance to follow up with Sam Schwartz's company about the intersection study. I don't know if Christina has or not, but I plan to this week. But I foresee that they're probably got some, protocols as well in place for their own company, which might hinder them. So.
Yeah, I didn't check, but I expect to be delayed. The good news there is that they can turn around the study pretty quickly. So even if they are delayed, they should be able to complete before July 1st, unless everything is, closed until July 1st.
Also, Jesse, can you check with the mayor's office, community affairs, because we may be able to extend the contract with HCC past the June 30th deadline.
That's a great question. I will ask that question.
Yeah.
Next up on the agenda is March committee letters to be ratified at next full board. There are 7 BLP letters. Frank or Yoni, somebody want to explain these to us as if this was full board?
Sure. All 7 of them are fairly straightforward. The BLP committee.
Frank, can I interrupt you for 1 second? Just before we start this process, I just wanted to get, I think Lola, it'd be good if we wanted to get clarity as how we want to do this. If we were just going to bundle the entire, have a discussion about this. We're not going to vote separately on each of these items.
We'll do it the same way we always do it. We'll bundle everything at the end because we have to do this by a roll call vote. And in the interest of time, assuming there are no issues, I'd like to vote on all 8 letters, the 7 BLP letters and the Clinton House Kitchen land use letter together, assuming there are no issues. But let's let the various committee chairs explain what the letters are before we get to that point, Jesse.
Okay, I suggest we bundle the 7 BLP letters. They were all relatively non-controversial. The committee voted unanimously to recommend approval of all 7 of them, but I'm happy to answer specific questions.
Does anyone have any questions on the BLP letters?
I agree with Frank.
Okay, now before we vote, let's talk about the Clinton Hell's Kitchen land use letter. This is about the slaughterhouse design. This letter was sent out after the full board packet. I think it was sent out this morning. I don't recall exactly when. Dolores or JD, are you on the line to discuss the letter?
They are on the line. Can you give me a couple minutes, and you'll have to put up with me a little bit just because I have to find them. I'm realizing they're one of the callers in, so I'm going to unmute each one and try to find them.
Hi, can you hear me?
There
yes,
she
we
is.
can hear you, Dolores.
No, actually, I logged on to the video. Let me just quickly double check, if you don't mind, for a moment with JD that he's okay that I speak on this. So give me 2 seconds.
We're letting you cover for the Luddite.
Betty has something to say.
Were
Betty,
you able
Jeffrey,
to
and
unmute
Dale.
him? Are you unable to unmute him, Jesse?
I will, but
Stop
I don't know
laughing, Jeffrey.
I don't know what caller he is, so I am because he unfortunately there's no way of identifying him. I'm going to try this. JD, can you speak now? Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me just go through this. JD.
You want his phone number, Jesse?
No, it's not gonna. It's gonna be more complicated. No.
Yes, Betty, I see you. We'll get to you.
JD, can you try speaking again? There we go.
Yes.
All righty. All right.
Can you
Thank
hear
you,
me?
JD. Yes, we hear you.
Go ahead, JD.
First of all, this is not a letter. This is a memo to the executive committee. The letter has not been written because of unavoidable circumstances. Joe is quite swamped with a bunch of tasks. So this was basically an explanation of what the letter would be. I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it. If not, it's basically about the slaughterhouse. At the land use meeting, Radson Development presented a design concept. The Public Design Commission rejected that concept. So the committee decided to write a letter rejecting the PDC's rejection. and saying, we like this two-tower design. We've been working with the developer over a long time, and we want this project to move forward as quickly as possible. That is the letter that will be written and ratified at a future board meeting.
Okay, there were some questions on this. Let's start. Jeffrey, I saw your hand first.
Did I miss something? Why did PDC have to review this design?
The building is leased. The land will be leased to the developer, Jeffrey. Ownership being retained by the city requires PDC approval.
Because will remain a city, it's a land lease?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Dale?
Hi, JD. I appreciate that this is a memo about a letter, and I appreciate your language generally, but I don't know if we can talk about giant battling transformers in the letter itself and get the point that we're trying to get across to these folks. I don't think they're going to quite understand your reference there. And
Dale, hello, you're absolutely right. That was just an in-house joke, a little levity, but you're right. Of course not.
And I figured it as much, JD, but I would also just recommend the person from Ratson had the specific language that they use to reject this and I would in the letter I would suggest citing their specific language.
Good idea. Excellent. Excellent.
The line about it that it should connect to the New Hudson Yards neighborhood, that one?
Yes, exactly that. And also like their rationale for rejecting the two-tower scheme, which you've made ample points already in the memo about why the two-tower scheme is important to us and why it's why it was arrived at by a process. But their rejection of the two-tower scheme if you specifically state their rejection, the rationale for their rejection of the two-tower scheme, I think it'll make a strong letter.
Good point, Dale.
All right, I'm going to go to Alan next because Alan's question follows up on what Dale just said. Alan was asking, why are they opposed to the two-tower scheme?
There has been no coordination between the Department of City Planning and EDC on this or PDC. It turns out that comments were sent from EDC comments were sent from DCP to EDC, and it was never shared with the developer. So we don't even understand their rationale.
Okay, thank you.
That's your question, Alan?
Yes, thank you.
All right, Betty, you were waving your hand. No, we can't hear you. Got to unmute yourself. Jesse, can you help her?
There. Okay. Got it. There you go,
Betty.
I also read the letter, and I also the bullet with JD's wonderful language that Dale talked about. I think instead of, you might tone that down and refocus on the scale and the nature of Hell's Kitchen, the positive aspect of why a huge 80-story building wouldn't make sense. And what agency is the lead agency on this?
EDC.
EDC. Betty, everybody, I had to draft this memo almost overnight because of the situation. It's not a letter. It's just some suggested ideas that will go into the letter, and everybody else's ideas will also go into the letter. The jokey language is just for us.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to understand it a little bit better. I think it might be good to put that EDC is the lead now, because you said you want HPD to become a lead now. So that
Right.
seemed important.
Right.
And then
Yes.
at the top of page 2, the design would use materials which relate to the industrial past of the site. It might be good to suggest what those materials might look like. Might be
Betty, that was in the letter of October 2019. Though that wording is the letter from October 2019 would be attached, and that is the language from the letter.
Okay.
And we did not go further in the letter.
Okay, I'm done.
Bert?
Oh, wait. Oh, well.
Go ahead.
Can I
Betty,
just, I
finish what
forgot.
you're thinking.
The last bullet on the first page, insist, I'd add the 2-tower slaughterhouse design concept be approved, just to be clear that's insist that the 2-tower slaughterhouse design. That's it. I'm done. I promise.
Sure. Okay.
Mr. Lazarin.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
No? Can you hear me?
That's good.
Okay, you can't hear me. Okay. I wasn't sure, so I'll turn the phone off. What I was wondering, with that PDC, Joe, JD, this is the first time they were negative, so I've never heard about them, at least I don't remember hearing about them responding to any other development in the past. So has it always been they've gone along when they were concerned? Or is this the first time they've been negative?
This came out of the
I
blue.
don't know.
Came out of the blue. It was not, they had been to PDC already and PDC was generally favorable.
So I know this is all being recorded. I'll ask you the question anyway. Is there something else involved here?
We're not certain, but we do feel like EDC is not the proper lead because they don't seem to have a lot of desire to make this project happen.
Okay. I think that says a lot. Thank you.
Anyone else have questions about this soon-to-be letter?
Was the
Okay.
developer, just one more.
Who was that? Go ahead.
Jeffrey, was the developer planning to go back to the drawing board and adopt a 1-tower plan, or is there room for, PDC work here?
Well, they actually told the developer to go hire a starchitect because that's what they were looking for here. And that was the kind of thing that made us pretty crazy at the committee. The developer started to look for another architect, but we said, don't do this yet until we have a discussion with EDC, PDC, and DCP, because everyone should sit in the room and have a discussion about it as opposed to going off on this. Also, the last thing is a 1-tower plan would push the building up dramatically. It would no longer be 60 stories, it'd be like 80 stories. That's the real concern.
Are we making that very, very clear in the letter that this is one of the this is one of the critical things that was negotiated a long time ago and which was the major goal of the neighborhood.
And we've already pushed it from 50 to 60, so enough.
So we should put that prominently in the letter.
That's a good idea,
Marty?
Christine.
Marty, you wanted to say something? Go ahead. Except you're on mute, Marty.
Unmute.
There you go. Still can't hear you though.
Well, is this level button high enough?
Nope, still not there, Marty.
Where's Marty? He's
Marty, can you type it into the chat box and we'll read it? This is why we're doing this with exec first instead of full board.
We're learning a lot. Stop laughing, Dale.
I don't know who's laughing harder, Dale or Jeffrey or Bert.
Yeah.
It's a contest. I can watch everyone laugh. Inga coming up on the outside.
Mary is laughing.
All right, what are we voting on? Do we get a chance to review the next version? There will be a chance to review the next version at the May full board to ratify it, but at that point it will have gone out. We are voting on the concept of a letter as outlined by the memo that was circulated with the comments and additions that have been discussed today. There will not be another chance to review a finished letter, Marty. Okay.
Yes, sir. Hello?
There will be. Yeah, you want, JD, you're going to circulate it again?
We should.
The letter.
I thought the memo was fairly comprehensive, and we could just go from the memo and send the letter.
The letter would be, I imagine, sent out before the May meeting, the May full board meeting, and there would be chance to comment then.
I think it's got to go out earlier.
Right, that's what I'm saying. This is your chance to comment on what you want to see in the letter. The final wording of the letter is going to be up to Joe and JD.
That's right.
We're voting to give them authorization to send a letter along the lines of the memo that was circulated.
I agree.
I just would add one thing. The letter was unanimously approved by the committee. This is not controversial.
Okay.
Let's vote.
All right. So, all right. Now, Jesse, I want to ask you something. Are we bundling the minutes in with this so we do one roll call?
Yes, please. It would make my life a lot easier.
Okay.
Unless there's some significant reason.
Did anyone have any comment? Is it the February full board minutes or the March full board minutes?
No, my apologies. That's a mistake. It's the March. It's the March
full board minutes. Did anyone have any comments on the March full board minutes? Speak now. Okay. Then what we are going to do is we are going to vote. It is a yes or no vote. Yes, you're in favor. No, you're opposed. It's the 7 BLP letters, the 1 Clinton Hell's Kitchen land use letter as discussed, and the February full board minutes. We're going to do this by roll call so it's recorded for the audio. Jesse, take it away.
Yoni.
Aye.
Christine.
Yes.
Jessica. Dale.
Yes to the bundle.
Marty. Is he going to chat it in?
He gave a thumbs up. I think we all saw that.
Yeah.
That's not going to show. Okay. If he can
He's giving
chat
2
it in,
thumbs
that'd be
up.
good. Okay.
That's a yes.
Okay. Frank.
Yes.
Inga.
Yes.
Lowell.
Yes.
Jeffrey.
Yes.
Betty.
You skipped an L.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bert. I have you down in the bottom because you're yes, Bert. Bert.
I can go to the bottom. That's okay. Yes.
Betty.
Yes.
All right. Sorry, Bert. That was a yes too.
Yes.
Got it. Mike Noble.
Yes.
JD.
Yes.
Maria.
Yes.
Alan.
Yes.
Joe Rostuccia.
Yes.
All right. We are done.
Paul needs to vote.
Jesse, you forgot Paul again.
I apologize. I'm sorry. Sorry, man.
No
I'm
worries.
sorry.
I vote yes.
Thank you, Paul. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you. So good to be on board. Thank you.
Okay, so that finishes what we had on the agenda. Does anyone have any old or new business they want to raise? Dale, go ahead.
Yes. Hi. I just wanted to ask about, Joe specifically. Let me pull this up. Okay. Joe, remember you were talking that the housing committee had seen this property, the situation of the property at 354 West 56th Street, about the owners and the tenants. And I know there was some interaction with the DOB on that building. Should there be a letter from land use on that issue in conjunction with the, to support the housing letter?
Well, DOB has an active stop work order in place on the building.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I mean, there's basically nothing happening there at this moment. The owners, the prospective purchaser, and the tenants are still trying to work something out. I haven't heard from them about a week and a half.
But should land use document its its issue with DOB's conduct at this particular property?
Maybe, I guess what you're talking about, another one of those goddamn demo letters, right?
Right. I mean,
JD, what do you think?
only if it's going to support the case that you're trying to pursue housing. But I thought it shouldn't slip under, recognizing that your committee is dealing with it, I just thought it shouldn't slip under the radar of land use, that it's yet another DOB situation.
Well, Jesse and I have found yet another on 9th Avenue and 50th Street that we reported just last week. Another demo one.
So maybe that's one letter for two to say this is continuing and it's still working.
Yeah. So the other one is 735 9th Avenue, right, Jesse? Is that the correct address?
735 9th Avenue, yes.
But it's an L-shaped lot going around to 50th Street, and the 9th Avenue building is commercial and the 50th Street building is residential, and they seem to have issued a permit for demolition. So maybe we can wrap that up into one thing. JD, what do you think?
Absolutely, Joe.
Okay. Bert, you wanted to add something on this? You got to take yourself off.
I had a question about 14th Street. I thought we had that was going to be.
All right, we'll come back.
Okay.
All right, we'll come back. We'll come back to that. Okay. We'll come back to that. Let's finish this one.
So then could we vote just on a letter that is basically yet the next letter in our anti-demolition series, encompassing both 354 West 56th and 735 9th Avenue?
Yes.
Move to adopt.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We have to do a call. I mean, a roll call, Jesse.
Let's do this way. Let's do this way. All those in favor of another letter, as Joe put it in our series, say aye. All at once.
Aye.
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 All right. Now here's the better one. Now here's the real question. Is there anyone opposed? Not hearing any opposition, the letter passes. Okay. Bert, you were asking about 14th Street. Betty, do you want to, that will be coming to the Chelsea Land Use Committee for the April online meeting. But Betty, do you want to give a short update on that?
Yeah, everybody can hear me? You're good? Can hear me? Okay. You in your package, or as in addition to this package, there was a short update of, printed update. So if you want to get to know more about it, anyway, we had the standing room only meeting on the February 18th land use. I think I might have talked about that at exec before we went on to our online part. And so it's going to be a challenging situation to have the meeting in April 20th. So we're going to have to work out with Jesse all the logistics. But I think I might have shown some of you the graphic on that. It's become a big issue with the community, the buildings nearby, and it's a 9-story tower behind the 2 and 3 and 4-story historic buildings, row house buildings along 14th and along 9th. And there's the case being made by the neighbors that it's overpowering and not respecting the historic buildings along the avenue and the street. So Paul and I have worked on a 5-page document to brief the members of the committee, and we're finalizing it now with Pam and David and Viren. And once that's finalized, we plan to send it to the committee members and then follow up. Paul and I will follow up and ask each committee member if they have any issues or questions that they need to clarify or add to our briefing package. It's only an internal committee package because I really want the committee members not to fumble around when we have the online meeting. You know, you sort of, I hope you all understand the picture of why we would do this. It's unusual. And we're very grateful that Viren, I asked him to do some alternative tower designs, and he's really come forward with some good materials. Any questions?
Bert, you had a question
Yeah,
about this?
I had some questions about the.
You just muted yourself, Bert. Bert, you
You
muted
put yourself on mute, Bert.
I'm on mute, right? I had some questions.
Now you're okay.
Yeah, I had some questions about the language in the letter that Jesse had sent out, but I won't take time here if we're gonna send out, you and Paul are sending out a whole package, and so I can discuss it with you out of this context, not take time now.
Okay, that would be great. And we can even have a phone call before we do our 5-page thing about the language that you don't, or you have uncomfortable about in this little update. Okay?
All right,
Not so much
we'll leave that.
uncomfortable.
I'll get you a
It's just
second,
I didn't
Christine.
understand.
Okay.
All right, and again, this is for the Chelsea Land Use April Committee meeting, which will be held online. So even if you don't usually attend Chelsea Land Use and you're interested in this, it'll be easy enough to be there. Christine, you had something?
I wanted to share or have someone share the situation with Nick Johnson and his wife. And I think everybody is not aware.
Christine, you faded out for a second.
Yeah, I'm saying I think maybe Jeffrey could update us with Nick Johnson's situation.
The situation with what, Christine? You're fading in and out. We didn't hear you.
With his family situation. I mean, just make everybody aware on the board. He was a member of the executive committee, and now he's gone.
About Lee's situation. About
Right.
Lee's situation.
Oh,
Lee.
Jeffrey, did you want to say something about Lee and Lynn?
Sure. Unfortunately, while Lee had, notified the borough president that he wouldn't be renewing his term after 16 years on the community board, his wife fell unexpectedly and very quickly ill, and she passed away about 2.5 weeks now. 2.5 weeks ago now, I think it's been. They had promised each other that they would make it to Arizona, and he got her there. She got to, she didn't quite make it all the way to the house, but they had moved into the new house they spent the past 4 years building in January and lived there for 3 weeks. And, Lee's comment to a number of us was, it was a remarkable 16 years. And he's now in Arizona, and he connected to the community there. He is connected to the university. He tutors there as well. and does have a network of folks, but when the time is appropriate after this stupid outbreak, he'll come back. We'll have a very belated Shiva and sort of open house memorial for Lynn. Because I think I certainly, having been very close to them, feel very cheated by the timing of all of this, to lose somebody like her and to not be able to support Lee directly, but know that that's going to be happening when we can make it happen. So.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
All right. Marty, you were asking about efforts for the community board to support the community. We have sent out at least one email blast where we offered up not only if people had issues to come to the community board, but we shared the contact information for all the local electeds as well. In talking with the electeds, I know that Dick's office in particular, Corey's office, have been swamped with people having issues with food, with housing, whatever. Jesse, we haven't had that much come to the board, have we?
No, so what I did, because we are very fortunate. We have a district that has got some great local representatives and state representatives, and federal, and so they're really doing the lion's share of the work in terms of constituent services. So we really get very little. What I did do, well, one thing besides Lowell sending out via our email blast sort of a list of things that what people can do to help, with a message from him. Janine from our office is constantly putting together packages of newsletters with all of interesting information, taking some stuff from Brad's newsletter, some stuff that we find online ourselves, stuff we get sent directly, and packaging it together and sending it out on a regular basis. But what I did as well is I reached out to Tiffany at Metro Baptist and Ken Jockers and all of the TA presidents from NYCHA, Actors Fund, and just sent out saying, listen, whatever, there's something you guys need from us or volunteers, people to call, whatever it is, please let us know and we can try to be helpful as possible. And so unfortunately, I haven't really had any kind of concrete, yes, we need this or that, because I think everybody's still sort of figuring it out and dealing with their own regulations that they have to do with their own staff and just managing their own teams. So but we are trying to reach out as much as possible to see what we can do as a board, besides just sort of sending out helpful information and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and I've been in regular contact with Corey's office, with Dick's office, and with Brad's office. And they know that they can come to us if they need anything. Hang on a second, Dale. Maria had a question next. Maria, you want to unmute yourself? Or you want me to just read it?
Let me see, did that work?
Yes,
The question was just any updates about the NYCHA working group that you can share, Joe or Betty.
Sure. It has been put on hold last week and this week, and we're expecting, possibly, depending on how things go, to try to schedule a call to check in for the first time next week. One of the members had a very bad incident on Sunday or Saturday. Her daughter was attacked in the stairwell, Mary McGee's daughter, and she was able to actually, her and her neighbor, fend the guy off and punch him in the head, and they were able to pull his backpack off so they know who he is. So the police are looking for him right now. It's just unbelievable.
So Joe, has anyone approached you from the mayor's office or housing authority about advancing the capital financing subcommittee agenda?
Yes, they approached me last week and I told them we just didn't have the time to do it. We're too much in emergency mode. And today I received an email from the mayor's office from Jody Callender asking to set up a call for next week. And I said we would get back to her if I knew we were a little more stable. Because right now, we're pretty much in a triage mode, Betty. You know what I mean?
I totally understand. You could go on hibernation.
So maybe
Lowell,
end
can
of
you hear?
next week.
Hang on. Joe, were you finished with your answer?
Yes.
All right. JD, was that you?
Yes, it was. I have a question for you and Jesse.
Yeah.
The Clinton Land Use Committee meeting for April, if it's held as scheduled, it will be a very robust meeting because there are two items that's going to bring in a lot of the public, and I would request that you and Joe and Jesse and I talk about how to handle that meeting if we have to do it through this method. It will be quite difficult.
Yeah, I think
So at some point,
that an April meeting with that kind of group of people is going to be impossible to manage. We're not that sophisticated yet with this technology.
exactly.
I agree. I think, well, yes, there's partially that, and I think we're going to be advanced better than we are today by then. But I do think what we are both, but I think what the community would be expecting, and I think what you guys would be looking to have would be really is not a good format for this, right? So I mean, I think if we can not, I don't know. My inclination would be to not have these items the way they are, done in a on a teleconference format. I think it's gonna be very hard to show the public support kind of thing. But that's just my opinion. But yeah,
I agree.
we would have
Why don't the four of us take this offline and we can discuss it and figure out how to approach this?
Right, because isn't Corey, you have to meet with Corey's office, and this is not the moment for him to talk about this stuff. He has much more important things on his plate.
Yeah.
I would flag, though, that during a time of crisis like this, and I will say this publicly, you should never let a crisis go to waste. And it worries me about what is going to get forced through during a time like this. And so I would ask that we be hyper cognizant of what is happening around this issue, because Joe, you're right. There are significantly more important things to be talking about and focusing on, but that doesn't negate the things that will continue on once we have moved past this current crisis. So just flagging that.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. All right, we'll take this one offline. Dale, you had something you wanted to say.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this, and that's why I'm bringing it to everyone. But I had a resident of Chelsea who works in a hospital, a public hospital in Brooklyn, reach out to me and say that he's super concerned about the protocols in place for healthcare workers at that hospital and at hospitals throughout the city, and health services providers throughout the city. And I, looked into the issue and tried to put him in touch with with Corey's office. They were the one office actually of all the offices that followed up pretty quickly. But with that said, and I see Yoni has a similar question, as a board, are we in touch with, aware of, or dealing with in any way, shape, or form any of the hospitals or health service providers in the district to make sure that they're not, that they're, getting what they need, following the protocols they need to. On another note, I will say that I had a friend who lived in the East Village who is a person my age with no underlying health conditions who contracted the virus and was told repeatedly to stay home and self-treat, self-manage his care. And when it came time that he really needed hospitalization because of pneumonia, it was too late, and he died. And he died at home. And so this whole practice, this whole protocol of stay home unless you're in one of these risk groups, and the cat's here, and self isolate unless you're in one of these risk groups, and only call the emergency room if you're having these grave symptoms, is not effective in many cases, and in some cases the symptoms are advancing very quickly, and it's too late once I've already told somebody repeatedly to stay home and self-treat. So I'll open that up.
Okay, I'm not sure how we can respond to that. I'm not going to put CB4 out there and start contradicting what the health officials are saying, because I don't know enough about this and the treatment and whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
My question for the committee was not about my friend who died. Mike, I just want to.
No, I
just
understand.
want to put a point on. My question is about the hospitals within our district and whether they're whatever we can do as a committee to make sure that they're following the protocols for healthcare workers and also like prepared to deal with what's going to happen. If
I
we
can
have
guarantee no one's prepared, Dale. No one's prepared.
Yeah,
what's going to happen.
The answer is no, they don't have what they need. And second part of that answer is I'm not sure what we can do about it unless you got a storage of masks and ventilators in your apartment.
I do not.
Okay. I understand, Dale, I understand the sentiment completely, but I'm not sure what we can do about it.
Well, that's
if
why
you've got a concrete idea. Yoni made a concrete suggestion. It doesn't really address what you're saying, but there was a concrete suggestion of something that we can do. And Yoni, if you want to share that. But Dale, in answer to your question, I don't know what we can do.
Right. I guess what I'm not saying please come up with a solution as a group. I'm saying, have we had any communications with either healthcare workers in the district or the hospitals and the health services providers in the district? Have they reached out? Are they reaching? Are there, has there been any communication on this front to the board?
So
Jesse?
Hi, can I
hang on. Let Jesse take this first, please.
I mean, I can speak to no, we have not gotten any official contact from someone like something like Mount Sinai West or anything like that with any requests or that type of information. I think it'll be difficult to get beyond just the kind of like 2-sentence we're doing everything we can and we appreciate your support type of thing. Down to concrete requests of something along those lines. At this point, I think everybody's kind of working with whoever they've got to work with in the upper agencies and the federal agencies. So, but,
I was just going to say that on March 10th, Tuesday, I happened to have a tour of the Ryan Chelsea Health Center. And that was before it was at the point where we are now. But at that point, they had a protocol in place and they would screen everybody who walked in. They didn't know who I was, but I was there for a tour with some other committee members, and they did ask a couple of questions, screening questions. And depending how someone answers, they were going to put them in isolation. And hand sanitizer all over the place, but simple things. But that was over a week ago, and things are very different. So I have not checked in and see what's different.
Since we are, sorry.
I was going to say thanks for the update. I'm glad to hear that Ryan Clinton is up to speed. I'm wondering about Callan Lord as a clinic, and also about the Chelsea Sexual Health Clinic, if they've been mobilized at all in this regard.
Callan Lord is very active. We have a number of tenants who go to Callan Lord, and they've been in contact with us. And there's been people who've been exposed, and we've been isolating people, and it's a whole process that communication is happening, Dale.
My idea in the chat, which might be something to think about offline, is that we're having a 1,000-bed hospital being built at Javits with FEMA employees and a National Army Guard who are going to staff it. I assume they'll be staying at hotels in our district. Could be a nice thing just to send them a welcome letter about what's available in the neighborhood as they're new to the neighborhood. But I'm sure we'll have to see how it all comes together and who ends up working there.
I just heard you volunteer to draft that letter, Yoni.
I can reach out to Javit and to to Nadler's office and to see if we can get some more details on that and see what we could put together.
There's a National Guard contingent in the Marriott on 34th and 10th, just FYI.
Is there
I do
anything
want to
in,
load.
Hang
Well,
on
can I
one
bring up
second, Inga.
some?
1 second, Joe. Inga, were you saying something?
is there anything in the neighborhood? Is everything closed? Is there anything left?
No, there's a number of restaurants open. Restaurants, delis, and some food stores are open.
Okay. Good.
Joe, you had something else you wanted to add?
Yeah, just to put out to the board
I'll get to you, Joe.
specifically, and Jesse especially, I have a resource issue that we're having a problem with. We are running out quickly of hand cleaners and disinfectants, and we cannot locate them. Clinton Housing has been designated an essential service, and we've reached out to DHS and Office of Emergency Management. So Jesse, whatever you can do, because we probably have maybe a little over a week's supply, and that's it.
Can
We
you send
supply
me
what, Joe?
Yeah,
Of disinfectants and cleaners.
Okay.
can you send me a list, Joe?
Sure. And then the second thing is, and this goes to the BLP folks, and Jesse, I think you helped on this already. We provide food to tenants at 3 locations, at least 3 times a week for our activities. Of course, our activities are closed, but our food provider was Cuisine Rescue, working with restaurants, and they're now closing as of tomorrow. So we're seeing, hopefully we're going to be working with Metro Baptist, but we had a restaurant donation to Metro Baptist from Latitudes. Maybe BLP could point us in the right direction to certain restaurants that are closed. We want to donate the food, which we then could prepare for tenants.
All right. Jeffrey?
I just want to, Paul's question was one I had as well and want to get back to that. Do we know where this Navy ship would be docking? I figured either Red Hook or outside my window at the Manhattan cruise ship terminal.
I don't know where it's docking, but the last I heard about that ship is it was still under repairs and it was going to be a month before it got here. I think that's part of the reason they're repurposing Javits, is because it's going to be a while before we get a hospital ship here.
Oh, well, the National Guard.
Christine, was that you who wanted to say something? Somebody else was trying to chime in. I didn't hear who it was. Was he? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Bert.
Oh,
Bert, you're on mute again. 1 click, not 2.
A couple of days ago, de Blasio anointed the sanitation commissioner, Catherine Garcia, to be somehow coordinating food distribution. So I don't know if it's worthwhile to reach out to her. She's probably just trying to figure out what the hell she's doing, but there is something there.
Thank you.
Joe,
Right.
can you send me any details on the food distribution thing too?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sure we can. I don't know if Frank and Yoni feel about this, but I'm sure we can send something out to at least the list of attorneys and everybody, or listserv on that sort of stuff, and say this is something that would be a great help if anybody can do it. I mean, I know they're all struggling a lot, but I mean, we can easily do that.
Because we use these activities normally to stretch people's food budgets. That's our concern.
I've got some new business real quick if I at some point, Lowell. So just in case you see this in the news or anything, it's already one article has been out. Manhattan Midtown Community Court is being repurposed right now to be basically the location for people who are arrested and arraigned that are showing symptoms of coronavirus or symptoms of being sick. And so this is news to us. We've reached out to NYPD and we've reached out to the mayor's office to find out just the details, obviously, because West 54th Street folks would care very much about it. And know that things are being done, taking the correct precautions and all of that kind of thing are being done. And so we're waiting for more information, but that is happening, and it might have already happened. So.
Questions or comments about Midtown Community Court?
Jesse.
I know Jesse's on top of this one. Go ahead, Bert.
Jesse.
Yeah.
Is that just a pass-through in terms of appearing at court, or are there physical facilities within the building itself to keep people there overnight or more than one day?
Those are all great questions.
It's a pass-through, Jesse. There are no facilities there.
Right. Well, no, I'm just saying.
There are no facilities there to keep people overnight.
Yeah, no. Yeah, in the past, right, exactly. So there's nothing set up for that now. It's purely arraignment. But like I said, that's literally all we've gotten is one line saying that this is happening in the article that spurred my question to NYPD, who, or the mayor's office, who didn't seem to think it was important to let the community board know about it. But yeah, so we're gonna work on that, obviously.
Jesse, one piece of information: arraignments electronic sometime next week citywide. I found that out today.
So yeah, I gotta say, the PDs are typically pretty usually good at getting ahead of this kind of stuff. So there might be decision might have been made with then new rules and new laws come out the next day. I really don't know, but
according to legal aid, everything's going electronic this Thursday. Criminal court, housing court, family court. So
they said, but we know it's going to take a little longer.
Yeah, they originally said Wednesday. Now it's Thursday. We'll see what really happens. But that's what they're saying to us.
I guess I just want to understand, policy-wise, this seems to make sense to me to have a designated location where symptomatic folks or people who might have relevant symptoms are going. So is the sentiment that we just want to be involved and in the know, or is there a desire to not have this take place at the Midtown Community Court?
Well, I mean, without knowing more information, I wouldn't want to say where we are on it. I mean, I personally have no. I mean, listen, I think we need to get the information first. But no, I'm in the former rather than the latter. I mean, I think we want to just understand. I want to be able to communicate to the block people and the folks that live around there who are going to get anxious about this. What that people are on top of this and what this really means. And I don't want to spur any kind of unnecessary, connections to criminal. Someone being arrested as being, so someone sent theirs that's just they clearly have they've got coronavirus and whatever. We don't know any of that information yet, but I certainly want to be able to give out the right information. So that's
Jesse, this is Dolores. Just to orient everyone to where this is located, it is next door to Midtown North. It is literally adjacent to the police precinct. So the protocols that would probably be in place for the police, most likely there's an awareness by all the folks that are right there about a proper way to deal with anyone with symptoms. So just knowing that they're adjacent to a police department that already has a clear protocol in place, living directly across the street from it, I'm not concerned. But I just wanted to let everyone know it's not as if this is an obscure location that's far away from any other agency. It is adjacent to Midtown North.
Okay, thank you, Dolores.
Can
I think, go ahead.
One other thing, I think we need to discuss, and I could have brought it up earlier, but if I feel like we're getting to the end of this. I want to make sure we're comfortable with how we're going to run these meetings going forward. I think this technology is great, but it's going to require a lot of additional attention and concentration, and from both the chairs of the committee, the co-chairs of the committees, and the members on the committees. And so Gail's office has actually been really helpful in sending out a bunch of recommendations on how best to run a meeting in these ways. I think tonight we've learned a lot, and Lowell and I will talk more. but I'm going to hope to send out something very shortly, but obviously before our first committee, as to like how best practices for the co-chairs and things like that. I think also you're going to want to think about someone who's got to manage, organize. So I'm right now, for example, I'm the organizer of this meeting. There are going to be times when maybe committee members are going to be needing to be the organizers, whether because maybe a staff member cannot be there and the co-chair is going to be busy sort of running the meeting. I don't know how Lowell seems pretty relaxed right now, so he's been sort of organizing and running the meeting at the same time, but it might get more difficult with something like Clue, where we're going to have a lot of information and a lot of people to manage.
Yeah,
so
well,
I just want to.
I do this for a living all day long. I am happy to sit down and talk to any of the committee chairs, and if something like that Clue meeting or the Hell's Kitchen land use meeting, I can help out in running that if need be, because I spend all my day my whole day with this headset on.
Well, I think that would be really helpful, because again, I'm still very concerned here. We have a limited group, but I'm still very concerned about managing the public. And how did you organize the public with that?
Yep, understood.
So we'll send out this memo. Obviously, it can be tweaked and everything like that, but I think, and I think we'll have to make some decisions. As I think Christine's point is valid, is how we want to go forward with managing the public. It's going to be a lot, and I think the way the CB2 did it. Hello. CB2
I wasn't
did
sure
it.
he was waving at it first. I didn't see him there.
Yeah, exactly. How the way CB2 did it seemed really effective to me. I mean, it definitely was. It's not the same thing as having a full board with public, with a public session, but I think it's the closest way of getting to it while also being able to be productive. Oh, EJ's in the house too. Hey, we only see EJ's forehead. There he is.
We need everyone who has children under the age of 14 or has pets to put them in the screen right now. I'm not going to find my dog. You have to live without him.
My dog is, no.
I wanted to see Lev.
Yeah, Lev's down for the night. He had a rough day.
Says hi.
All right.
Just the other
Does
thing is,
anyone
I
have
do
anything
think
else? We're coming up on 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we do have some folks that I've called. They're still been sticking with us from the public, I believe. So if that's all right with you, Lowell, I was gonna unmute them and see if they had anything to say.
Sure. Do it one at a time.
Yep. I have you listed as caller 10, but I don't know if anybody who's still on the phone, do you want to try speaking at this point?
Let's go to the phones.
Caller 10, last call, caller 10. Hold on, he got muted again.
Yeah.
I think he muted himself, so therefore I cannot unmute him. Unmute the person. So I think that's it. Everybody else is us. Okay.
Hey,
all right,
this is
then
Blake
if no one has anything
maybe
else.
it was me.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry. There's Blake.
Hey, Blake.
Oh, yeah. Hey, just hope everybody is hanging in there.
We are.
Thanks, Blake.
Thank you, Blake.
All right, so
Take care.
Jesse and I will be in touch as we go to committee meetings and seeing how we can help for the committees in April. If anyone has anything, guys, you're making me laugh.
I have to go shovel snow.
Do you know that we see you?
If anyone has anything they need help with or has any ideas, please route them through Jesse, Nellie, and Janine. And if there's something we can do to help in the community, we will do it. Otherwise, everyone stay safe and thanks for coming.
Anybody want to come shovel snow?
Good luck shoveling.
Meeting adjourned.
We just let the snow melt.
Thank you, everyone.
Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, there's too much out there. I have to go show
Bye,
them.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Stay well.
Anybody here?
Hi.
Betty?